Quilt It, the Long Arm Quilting Show is brought to you by Handy Quilter, manufacturer of easy-to-use long arm quilting machines, designed by a quilter for quilters. YLI, you'll love it. Paintbrush Studio, inspirational fabrics. Welcome to Quilt It, the Long Arm Quilting Show. I'm Jody Davis. When I think of feathers as a quilting design on a quilt top, I think of a high-quality, beautiful, beautiful quilt. Well, you can make feathers on your quilts too. I'm here with my guest, Kim Brunner, who is a rock star when it comes to feathers.
Oh yeah. What I'm going to be showing you today, Jody, is a technique called twirly whirly feathers, which is like traditional feathers with a major twist.
Ooh, we like that.
Yeah, we do. If we look at the quilt that I brought with me today, you can see that there are feathers in the blocks, feathers in the setting triangles, and you can see that those feathers have a lot of variety in shapes and sizes, and that's what you want. When you move out into the border, you can see more feathers and a curved cross-hatching design in the corner.
I want to make those beautiful feathers. They're so rich and beautiful. So show me how easy it is.
You can do it. You ready to go? Before we get started, let me give you a little bit of advice. And this advice goes for whether you're quilting feathers or quilting anything else. It's really difficult, if not impossible, to quilt well when you're super tense. Do you ever get tense when you're quilting?
Oh, no, not me. Yeah, like all the time.
All the time. And it's really difficult to make smooth, flowing movements if your shoulders are all clenched and if you've got a death grip on the machine. All you need to do is grasp it firmly, but in a relaxed fashion. Drop your shoulders and remember to breathe, and your movements will be much more flowing and much more successful. You'll be a much better quilter.
So maybe we need to do yoga quilting.
That would be a good idea.
There we go.
Okay, we're going to start at the spine, and we're starting at the spine simply because it's a whole lot easier to hide your starts and stops in the spine than it is to hide them up at the top. We're going to take just a couple of anchoring stitches. We're going to come out at a graceful curve, pop up, pop over the top, move into our next feather, curve back down to the spine. Come back out, up, over, curve back in.
Now question, Kim, where you've gone back over, like right in there, it isn't always perfect?
No, it's not. If it were perfect, it would be because you have a computer chip installed in your head. You are going to miss your backtracks, and you're going to miss your backtracks a lot. Now, some people feel more comfortable doing feathers on top of the spine. Other people feel more comfortable doing them on the bottom of the spine. Learn in the way that you feel most comfortable. But remember, you have to learn feathers upside down, right side up, off to the side, and back off to the other side.
Right.
Okay, we'll do two more on the bottom. Down, back, curve back up to the spine.
It's a matter of getting that rhythm, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it's also a matter of giving yourself permission to make some mistakes when you're first learning. Now that we've done them on the top and we've done them on the bottom, let's do them together.
Okay.
Same thing, you're going to come out, pop up over the top, curve back down.
And now you have to make the transition in your mind to doing it, flipping it in your mind.
Absolutely. Pop right back down to the bottom. Now you've done two top, two bottom, back up to the top, back down to the bottom. Do two more on the bottom, pop over that back track, back into the spine.
Very pretty.
They do look really
They
cool.
do.
don't
They look really nice. Yep.
Would you like to give it a try?
Could I?
You can.
I'd love
Let me get you
to.
set up.
Anytime you get to play with the toys, it's a good thing.
It's fun. I'll get you started, so all you have to do is make feathers.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So when I start, I'm just hitting the start?
Yep, you're hitting the start button. I've already got it set up. My normal speed is 12 stitches per inch. Sometimes when you're using a specialty metallic thread or a variegated thread, you might want to lower those stitches per inch just to allow the longer stitches to show off your thread a little
Okay,
bit more.
yes. But you'd be able to see that as soon as you started quilting. You need to do the, whoops, mine's a little big.
That's okay.
And then where do I go from here? There.
Curving back down. Remember to curve in.
Yep. And now from here, I go
Curve
down
out.
here. Repeat that. Now maybe I can.
Backtrack and curve into the next feather. Now pop back up to the top. Curve out, up and over.
Backtrack, then go like
Curve
this.
back
It's
down.
all the rhythm thing.
Yeah. You're doing really good.
Getting there.
Pop back into the next one.
And now we're in the
curve back
center.
into the spine.
Hit stop.
There we go.
That was fun. I didn't do so bad for a first time.
That's right, and you didn't even cry, so you're good to go.
No crying with quilting.
No crying. There is no crying in baseball or quilting. Now let me show you a couple things that when you're first getting started, you really want to focus on working on. I'm going to switch places with you.
Okay.
And this is a really common mistake for new quilters. You came out and you turned north instead of curving north. And what ends up happening is all of your feathers look like little buildings in a row. You came out, you went straight up. Yep. So what you want to focus on is curving up and over and curving back down. Curve out of the spine and come back into the spine at the same angle. Does that make sense?
It does.
Perfect. Now that we've learned how to do them on the top and the bottom, we'll move right over here, and I'm going to show you how to do them with no spine.
No spine. Whoa.
Spineless
Racy.
feathers. We will do spine-free feathering.
And when would you use the spine-free feathering?
Perhaps if you were using a thicker thread that you would get a whole lot of buildup at the spine.
Okay.
You don't want real spiny looking feathers. You want pretty feathers that aren't too heavily stitched in the spine. Okay, I'm going to do a couple of locking stitches to get me started. The technique is exactly the same as what we just did. We're simply adding another trick to our bag of tricks.
All right.
Okay, we're going to come up, over,
Same
back
thing
down,
as before.
backtrack a little bit further, come down, and backtrack that spine. So
so you are stitching the spine. Okay.
you're forming the spine as you backtrack that feather. Okay, we're just coming down and around, back into that spine, backtracking along, up, over, whoops, missed that backtrack.
That one was perfect.
There we go. And you can just really keep cruising along without even stopping.
Now, Kim, what do you do when you want to stop?
You always stop at the spine.
Oh.
You can hide your starts and stops in the spine. You can't hide them at the top of the feather, especially if you've come up and over that feather. If you stop there and you go back to try and hit that backtrack,
No
good
way.
luck. Now, the one thing that you're really going to like about being able to do these feathers is if you can stitch them out to look like this, you can flawlessly execute stencil designs on your quilts.
Really?
Something that machine quilters have always struggled with is extensively marking a quilt and then doing traditional long arm feathers. And with a traditional feather, you backtrack this long edge, not the top. It gives you really pretty feathers, but they look markedly different from a stencil. And that can be really frustrating if you want your quilt to have stencil feathers on it. You stitch out your feathers using this technique and you get feathers that look exactly the way that they look on your stencil.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Now, I want to do that. When Quilt It comes back, Kim will have more for us about feathers. This is great.
It's
I can't
really
believe
We are the Handy Quilter Studio educators, and we want you to know why we love our Handy Quilter quilting machines.
Handy Quilter quilting machines are innovative. Check out the color touch screens, 2 kinds of stitch regulation, and computer-guided quilting.
Handy Quilter quilting machines are intuitive and easy to use, and they come in a size that fits your quilting style.
Handy Quilter offers training, service, and ongoing education. We care about your quilting experience.
Handy Quilter quilting machines are designed by a quilter for quilters. We'll be at a quilt shop near you or a show. Come give one a test drive. To learn more, call or click for a free demo DVD or
Follow the truck to Handy Quilter.
Welcome back to Quilt It, the Long Arm Quilting Show. Kim Brunner has shown us all about Feathers 101, and now we're going to get fancy with a few more bells and whistles, right?
Yes, we are. Everything I'm going to show you builds on what we've already learned. In our first segment, we did Feathers 101. You learned the up and over technique. Now we're simply going to add longer tails to those feathers, which is going to allow us to fill great big spaces and do some really cool stuff. You ready to get started?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, really, in the first part, you took my fear away.
Yep, I showed you that it's way easier than you think it's going to be, didn't I?
Yes.
And you didn't cry, which is
No,
such
no
a
crying.
huge bonus. Okay, once again, we're just going to start out a couple locking stitches. You're just going to come out in a nice, graceful curve and end with something that looks like a little droopy teardrop.
Oh, it's pretty already.
There's an interesting spine. Now we're going to, again, do the same feathers we just did. Nothing changes.
They're
There's
just
a
at an
teardrop.
angle now.
They're just at an angle. Out. The secret to working your feathers into these curves is to throw in a little curve, a little backtrack, and curl a feather right around it.
That's how you fit those all in.
Smaller feather, bigger feather.
It's kind of fudging with feathers?
Yep, absolutely, making it fit. Now we've come out to the end. We can't work our feathers backwards because they start looking wonky. So in this case, we need to go back down to the base and work the other side of the feather. The reason that we're doing that this time is because I gave us a double spine. If you had a single spine, you could just do 2 feathers at once, just like we did in the last segment, okay?
So
now,
how are you going to get there?
you're going to stop your stitching line and just go back to the bottom, unless you feel really confident in your ability to hit your back tracks, in which case
No.
you just backtrack right down.
No.
I say no too. I know I'm going to bobble at least twice on that backtrack,
Yep.
and I'm going to have to rip it out, so I might as well just stop and start over at the bottom.
Yep, spare yourself the aggravation.
Absolutely. Now we'll do the other side. Teardrop to start, pop up and over, curl your feather around.
It's really looking beautiful. I love that metallic thread.
It's so cool. It's YLI fine metallic. It's super smooth, super sparkly. I love it. Gives me no trouble at all.
What do you have in the bobbin, Kim?
I have a pre-wound, really slick thread in the bobbin, and I love using pre-wounds because there's just so much more thread on there, which means you have to stop less often to change your bobbin.
Right.
Now we're gonna
So
work.
now at that top part, you're just spacing them farther apart.
Yep, and I'm making them a little bit bigger, and I'm fanning them out a little bit more.
As usual, it just takes practice so your eye knows what to do.
Absolutely.
It's gorgeous, Kim.
Now we've finished both sides of our feathers.
Who wouldn't want that on their quilt? My goodness.
It is so pretty, but let me show you now how to make them even prettier by throwing in some embellishments, sticking in a couple of bells and whistles that again are way simpler than you would ever think that they were going to be. Jody, how do you feel about doing freehand work? Does it kind of freak you out sometimes?
Most people it does. I'm not so bad, but still with something I don't know what I'm doing, it would freak me out.
Yep, it can be kind of trying to do too many things at once.
Yes.
Walking, chewing gum, patting yourself on the head.
Exactly.
If you are someone who feels a little bit uncomfortable about freehanding, I'll give you a set of training wheels to use.
Oh, good.
You just want to grab a chalk pencil. I like this spiffy white ceramic chalk mechanical pencil because it keeps a nice fine point. And you can just draw in your spine, figure out where you want to go, and now you've got a little roadmap to follow.
Our training wheels.
Yep, now you know it's going to look good. The spine is going to be where you want it to be. All you have to do is add feathers.
Okay,
it's
just
like
follow the line.
absolutely. It's like adding water and instant feathers. And in this case, we will start.
You don't even need a microwave.
That's right. We'll start at the other end this time. And we'll stitch our little loop first. Come all the way down.
You're just sewing the spine.
I'm just sewing that spine, following the line that I just drew out. Now I'm going to get in here and snip away this thread so it's not in the way. And now we're going to do feathers on either side of the spine.
Oh, you're going to do the alternating
Absolutely.
side to side. Good.
I'll show you how to do that with a couple of easy feathers first. Teardrop. Teardrop. 2 feathers on the left.
You've made those bottom feathers a little wider.
Yep, a little bit more interesting. But
And
now,
then you're making up for going into that inside curve by making them smaller.
Yep. And now I'm kind of bored with plain feathers, so let's start dressing them up. Let's add some veins.
Oh, how pretty.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Oh.
And it's easy peasy pie. You're just stitching out your feathers, coming back and giving them some veins.
So you do a few feathers, add the veins, and then go back to doing some more feathers.
2 feathers.
Excellent.
2 veins.
And that stitching doesn't really have to be right on top of the other
Nope.
stitching. It's kind of pretty when it isn't.
Yep. Really easy. Now stitch out our veins. Let me show you what that looks like on a finished piece.
Oh, it's pretty. Oh.
Isn't that gorgeous? It adds so much to your quilt, I think. It gives you a little bit heavier vine or heavier spine, so you have a little bit more definition to your feather, and it adds just a little bit more interest. Okay, Jody, if you thought that one was cool, let me show you another one that's a little bit more elaborate. It's just like the one that we just did, except we're giving your feathers eyelashes.
Ooh.
And again, you don't have to be really exact. Just coming down that edge, giving it as many eyelashes as you like. Come up with another feather, up and over, backtrack down.
That's almost like shading.
It is. It really is like shading. You give yourself a tremendous amount of depth and definition.
You know, the other ones now look naked without that.
They really do. They're still pretty, but they look naked. Now let me show you what it looks like when it's all stitched out.
Gorgeous. Oh, wow. Ah.
Way cool, huh?
Absolutely.
Really cool. Now let me show you one more that looks really cool. It takes a little bit more work, a little bit more time, but oh wow, is it ever cool.
Show me.
Here's your feather shape, and you just swing around, give yourself a little hook.
Oh.
And now you're gonna fill it with circles.
It's peacock feathers.
It is. It's so pretty and so eye-catching. And if you really want those circles to stand out,
Double
you
up
go
or triple
around
up.
them. Yep. Go around them a couple of times. You can graduate the shapes of your feathers if you want. And you only want to throw those in every couple of feathers, because every feather really, it's kind of overwhelming.
Just too much.
It really is.
I can see that.
It's way too much, but let me show you what it looks like stitched out.
Oh boy. Oh, that is absolutely beautiful. It's elegant.
It's very cool, isn't it? It adds a lot of sparkle to the quilt. Really cool. And like I said, takes a little bit of extra time. You want to make sure that it's not too much thread for your quilt, because you don't want your quilting to overwhelm your quilt.
Right.
But it really is cool on just the right quilt.
In just the right place, yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, Kim. I love that advanced feather making.
Thank you.
We'll have more with Kim, but first, it's time for our short takes on long arm quilting. In this segment of Short Takes for Long Arm Quilting, Vicki Hoth is going to show us all about rulers. Vicki, why do you use rulers with long arm quilting?
Well, sometimes we're not confident in our freehand quilting, and so rulers will give us that straight edge or that nice curve.
Okay, how do you use them?
Well, first of all, every long arm machine needs a ruler base or a plate extender.
Okay.
And so we need to make sure we put those on.
And are they weight?
No, they're clear. So we'll put that aside. Our rulers are clear too.
Okay, but you have the protective coating still on. Okay.
That's right. And you'd want to take that off.
Okay.
So this quilt sample is showing us all different kinds of quilting. Straight line quilting, curve quilting, you know, other things that we wouldn't do with the rulers.
Okay.
But we're going to put this down here. I'm the quilter. You're the hopping foot. You're the
Okay.
sewing machine.
Okay.
Noise and all.
So I go probably right here.
You're going to start in that corner, and I'm going to put my hand, don't move yet.
Okay.
I'm going to put my hand right here, because I want my hand next to where the hopping foot is.
Oh, like when you're rotary cutting, you
That's
have it by
right.
the ruler. Same idea?
And I like to use my pinky finger to
Oh.
anchor it onto the fabric.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so as you stitch,
Okay, I'm hopping along.
okay, and I'm going to hold that down, and then I'm going to shift, and sometimes I may stop the machine with
When
the
you move
needle.
your hand, like I do when I rotary cut. Do you do the same thing? You stop?
That's
with
right.
the- yeah.
But you want to have your needle in the down position so it doesn't roll, and then shift your hand, and then continue
Keep
stitching.
on. Yep. I did very irregular stitches. I'm bad long arm.
Yeah, well, we may have to unpick. So, do you know what I have here? And this is showing all different kinds of quilting, but it doesn't show a real quilt.
Oh, yes.
So I have a real quilt here.
That's a fake quilt. Get rid of it.
That's right. And How can I use rulers on this quilt?
Okay, so here you have a block.
I have a block, and so what I've done, I've actually taken this sheet of plastic and placed on here. And if I were to use rulers, you can do a stitch in the ditch around your edge.
Okay, so you
to
use this
stabilize
straight
it.
one.
The straight line ruler.
Okay.
Okay. And also to do straight line here. Makes it real straight. You're going to hold that 3-point pressure of safety. You're going to push the ruler against the hopping foot against the ruler, and pressure down on the ruler base. And it works.
Yeah.
Okay, then I've got all these curves. So I happen to have some curve rulers.
Yay. I bet this is where it really comes in handy.
Yes, because if you'll look here, this curve and this curve, they're different curves. So if you want a tighter curve or a deeper curve, you want to use a smaller ruler, so it gives you that tighter curve. And if you'll notice here, we'll match that up, and that one, do you see the difference in those size rulers?
Yes, a lot of
All
difference.
in the same quilt.
But this is one set of rulers that gives
One
you all
set
those
of
options.
rulers. That's right.
Great.
So let's move over to this quilt block. Do you see the tighter curves again? The looser.
It's all curves.
It is all curves.
All rulers, except for this.
That's right. And then, you know, you get feeling confident,
Yep.
so then you add that freehand quilt.
Well, that's what those rulers would do, I would imagine, is give you some confidence.
That's right.
Great. Well, thank you for opening up a whole new world to me.
You ready to try it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, get that hopping foot going again.
Bump, 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 bump. For more information about everything you see here, go to qnntv.com. Okay, bump, 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 bump. You should choose the best thread for your quilt because you're making an heirloom that will last for years. YLI makes thread for every need. Choose YLI's Long Arm Pro thread and YLI Machine Quilting thread for your long arm quilting projects. Both are 40 weight and come in gorgeous solid and variegated colors. For a different look, try YLI Fine Metallic or YLI Silk 100 thread in solid or variegated colors. Both perfect choices for long arm machines. YLI thread, we designed it for you. Paintbrush Studios brings the high quality and experience of a 40-year-old fabric company and a friendly Midwestern attitude to your local quilt shop with our exclusive fabric lines. From the staple group of blenders to the exciting new collections introduced each season, Paintbrush Studios fabrics are created with the quilt maker in mind. Visit the Paintbrush Studios website to download the free pattern for Crystal Rainbow and create your own treasure. Welcome back to Quilt It. Kimmy Brunner is back to show us more about quilting feathers on our quilt tops.
Thanks, Jody. Now I'm going to show you how to combine templates with your feather designs. Templates are something that's really scary to a lot of new quilters because they think they're going to hop their hopping foot up over the template and break their ruler and break their needle and break their machine, and then they'll get yelled at. I'm here to show you how easy it is to use them and how simple it is to combine them with your feather designs to make really cool one-of-a-kind designs.
Great.
There are a couple of rules that you need to know when it comes to using templates because you have to think about safety first. The first thing that you're going to need is an extended base. The reason that you want an extended base is that most machines just have a very narrow needle plate. And trying to balance this template on that needle plate and hold it secure as you stitch is pretty much impossible. It's sort of like watching two kids on a seesaw. One end flips up, you overcompensate, and then the other end flips up.
That wouldn't be good.
That's right. And sooner or later, one of those flippy ends is going to end up underneath your hopping foot. The extended base provides a stable tabletop for you to rest your hands on, for you to rest your template on, and you can stitch safely and securely all the way around.
So that's underneath the quilt right now.
Yep, that's on the machine underneath the quilt. You don't see it, it doesn't get in your way, it's just a really cool tool. The next thing that you want to remember is that slow and steady wins the race when using templates.
Think turtle.
Think turtle, never ever be in a rush when using your templates. The third rule of thumb is that when you are holding your templates in place, you don't want to press down hard on your template. You don't want to use superhuman strength. You just want to hold the template in place. And remember, you're just holding the template in place. You're not holding the machine in place.
Oh, so it's not quite like rotary cutting where you need some pressure to hold it from moving?
That's right. You are just keeping it from slipping. You're not holding the machine still. You are just
Okay.
keeping the template from slipping on your fabric. If you crank down with your superpowers, you're going to slow down the machine, you're going to interfere in stitch formation, which is going to lead to skip stitches and a lot of frustration on your
And
part.
we know all quilters have superpowers, so
That's right.
yes,
No
better be
quilting
careful
superpowers.
where you apply those.
What you want instead of cranking down, you want to get these little sandpaper dots. Super easy. You
Gives
pick
you
'em-
grip.
There's just enough grit, you can hear me scratching on it, to provide a little bit of grip on your fabric.
Great.
But it doesn't snag your fabric, it just grips it and helps keep your template from slipping.
The source for those will be in the episode notes, by the way.
That's right. The last rule of thumb is that you do not want to outstitch your fingertips. The area of the template that your fingers are resting on is stable. The
Okay.
rest of the template is not stable.
Okay.
You only quilt to where your fingers end, then you stop quilting, reposition your fingers, and finish that quilting line.
Again, just like rotary cutting.
That's right. It's just like rotary cutting. Be safe, be stable. Okay, now let me show you a really cool design. For this one, you're going to need 2 circle templates, one that is slightly larger, that has a more gentle curve, and one that's a little bit smaller, that has a deeper curve. We're going to start with this classic on-point square design, and what I've done is to chalk a miter line, put a little tick mark about 2/3 of the way up. I'm going to start with my smaller template. I'm going to drop my needle at that little chalk tick mark.
I'm wondering where she's going here.
This is so cool.
Secure the threads.
Secure the thread,
Oh,
and I'm going to simply line up my template so that my stitching line will end up in my point.
again, you're always eyeballing that 1/4 inch.
Absolutely. Eyeball the 1/4 inch, stitch slowly and carefully down to the point. Now I'm repositioning my template, so I'm stopping that machine. I
Okay.
don't want it running on without me. I'm going to reposition my template right over here,
Look where you're going.
and I'm going to stitch right back up to where I started from. Stop the machine, grab my other template with the larger curve, position that so I can stitch up to the top point.
Uh-huh. And again, you're aiming it so that you're going to get right to that point.
That's right, and if I have to fiddle with my template a little bit, that's okay. Stop my machine, reposition my template,
Ah, this is easy.
stitch right back down.
Really, the only requirement is that you have to be able to, in your mind, eyeball that 1/4 inch.
That's right. Remember that your quilting machine is going to add a 1/4 inch.
Because
To this template.
the hopping foot is a 1/4 inch wide.
Now that I've finished stitching out that pointy figure 8, here's a finished sample of that same design. And you can see I just put feathers on either side of it.
Yes.
When I was done, I felt like there was too much empty negative space there, so I simply stitched a little line in the middle to
And
break it up.
You did that freehand.
Nope,
Oh, you used a template.
used my template, stitched up here, moved my template over, stitched down there. Worked like a charm. Let me show you how to get a little bit more complicated now. Remember that
Complicated.
curved crosshatch design that we did?
Oh, in the quilt in the wall
Yeah,
behind us. Yes.
Let me show you how I stitched it out.
So pretty.
Melon-shaped template,
Oh.
around, and around to complete my shape that I'm going to fill. Then I simply stitched in the ditch up, stitched over, stitched in the ditch up,
Oh.
over,
Side
up and
to
over,
side
yep.
to side.
ping-ponging back and forth, and then I came down in the opposite direction, stitched in the ditch, moved it up, and stitched back all the way to the end. In this example, I came back and filled in my alternating crosshatches with really tight stippling, and I think it looked really, really cool, dressed it up quite a bit.
It's very pretty, and now that you explain it, it's very easy.
It's very easy, just remember to go slow and be
Yeah.
careful.
Thank you, Kim.
You bet, you're more than welcome.
I can't believe what you can do with feathers, and it isn't that hard.
It's not hard at all.
To find out more about Kim Brunner and Twirly Whirly Feathers, go to the episode notes at qnntv.com. And we'll see you next time right here on Quilt It, the Long Arm Quilting Show. For information on how to sign up for this and future episodes, visit qnntv.com.